Welcome to Prepare For Takeoff. I'm the creator and host, Terry L. Cyrus. We're the podcast dedicated to amplifying Black excellence. Every week, we sit down with a proven professional or a rising entrepreneur. And this week, we're sitting down with founder and CEO of SmithCAN, Bryant K. Smith. What's going on, Bryant?
Hey, what's going on, Terry? Glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
First of all, let me just say, root to the cues.
Man, root to the cues. You know how we do it.
Absolutely.
Always good and pleasant.
Oh, 100%, man. The Brus are doing phenomenal things. And we want to amplify not just the Brus, but everybody in the D9, man. But it just so happens the Brus got a lot of very high-level individuals.
We do it all.
They're a one-stop shop. You know what I'm saying? Right. I'm just so happy that I'm a member of our illustrious fraternity, life member, Spring 91 Theta Psi, West Virginia State University. I know you're Chicago's own, man. So tell me what
born and raised.
100%, man. So what was it like growing up in the Chi?
Growing up in Chicago was cool. It's kind of strange. When I say it was cool, I grew up in my younger years right across the street from the University of Chicago and never knew it was a university.
And Get out of here.
I didn't find out it was a university until I moved out of that neighborhood and moved out to what they call the Wild 100s. And then the school that I went to there, the grammar school, we actually took a field trip back to my old neighborhood, to the University of Chicago, to see the King Tut exhibit. And that's when I found out that that was a university. To me, it was a place I used to go and ride my skateboard down this hill that they had behind their library. And then in the front of their library, they had a fountain that me and my friends used as a swimming pool until they sent the police over and chased us out. You know, I'm like, man, my life could be so different had one of those college students come out and said, hey, you know, this is a university and this is our library. And did you know we have a King Tut exhibit? Like, man, so growing up in Chicago was cool. I mean, I love Chicago. It has made me who I am, but it came with some challenges. You know, I grew up in what most people don't realize is one of the most racially segregated cities in the country. And it wasn't until I got to college where I met my first white person my own age. So that was an interesting thing for me, you know, and that changed the trajectory of my life, literally. Because up until then, as far as I was concerned, the world was Black. And then I got to college and somebody said, you know, you're a minority. And I was like, what's that? It was like, well, there's not a lot of you here, so you're a minority. I was like, okay. Oh, so being Black means something. They were like, well, yes, you know, you're Black. I was like, okay, well, I'm going to be the blackest Black dude on campus. I just threw myself into Black culture in a whole nother level. And I became, you know, I was Brother Black. I joined all the groups that had Black in it. I was in the Black Student Union. I was in the Black Action and Awareness Committee. If it didn't have Black in the title, I didn't join it.
You wasn't really with it.
Yeah. You know, and it's a good thing, but it's a bad thing because I was a communication major and we had one of the biggest public relations societies of America chapters in the country. But I didn't participate in it because it didn't say Black Public Relations Society. You know, it's how you get a job is not just what you know, but who you know. And I didn't know anybody. So obviously I didn't end up starting my career in media, which is what I was going to school for. I started my career as an admissions counselor, recruiting students to come to Illinois State University, just like me. So, you know, it was a blessing, but it had some issues.
What was that transition like, going from a place where every day you've seen people who look like you to going to a place where you may be able to count the brothers that you see in a day?
It was a very interesting change. You know, my father dropped me off and his last words wasn't, you know, son, we counting on you, you know, do well. His last words to me was, don't mess with no white girls. And I was like, I don't even know any white girls. Like, how is that a thing? And so that was the first thing to overcome, the obstacle to overcome. Now, I had been to the campus before because my older brother had gone there. He went there for 3 years and didn't graduate. So I was familiar with campus, but this was different. So I had to learn what it was like to be in sort of isolation when you're in class. Usually I was the only Black kid in the class or one of two, you know, so those kind of things. So it took a lot of adapting. That was before cable and satellite. So the music was different. The television, it was different. You know, that was back when TV used to go off.
Right.
So you didn't have a variety of Black shows. Now, fortunately for me, I was a DJ in college, so I brought music with me. So I always had people gravitating to my room and hanging out because I had the music. But it was an adjustment, man. But I decided that I was going to be successful. Like I really did not want to be that statistic that they were telling us when we first got to campus. Oh, only 3 out of 10 of you is going to graduate. I was like, well, I went back to my room and told my roommate, hey man, I don't think you're gonna graduate because so and so just told me only 3 of us gonna graduate, and I know I'm gonna be one of the 3. So step the game up.
What drove your commitment to the culture at that early age?
It was a combination of what I had been raised with, but also white folks just wasn't moving like they move now. I was meeting white people who had never met black people, and so just having to explain myself and go through all that was just too much of a headache. Like I was trying to study, talk to women, and get my degree. I didn't have time to be trying to explain to somebody that I am a human being and I eat and drink like you do. So I just decided I was just gonna move this. We had enough of a community that it just made it comfortable for me. So that's what I chose. I opted to hang out with the brothers and sisters on campus. The Black Student Union was a good thing for me. I was a product of a trio program. That was a good thing for me. So I had community without having to go out and put myself in these spaces where I was going to be in the minority outside of class. That was something I just did not want to do. I felt like I went in class, I was a minority in the daytime, but how I spent my free time, I was going to try to be as close to Chicago and connected to black folks as I could be. So that's what I did.
Then at some point, once you graduated, did you stay in the area and join the
Yes.
administration?
Yes, I stayed in the area, and doing all that black stuff paid off for me because my first job was an admissions counselor, and the woman who hired me told me when she hired me that the only reason she hired me is because she had seen me as a student doing certain things in meetings, and she knew that I was not afraid to talk in front of people and that I was committed to trying to help black students. That's how I got my first job. So it paid off. You can say what you want about separating yourself and being in isolation, but it really turned out to be one of the best things for me.
As they say, bro, the squeaky wheel gets the grease.
That's what they say. And I was definitely squeaking and in need of some grease.
What impact did the frat have in your professional trajectory and kind of who you saw yourself becoming as a young man?
The frat had all kind of impact on me. In high school, several of my teachers were bros. To be honest, I didn't like them when I was in high school. They were just some mean old dudes as far as I was concerned. But in hindsight, they were also some of the ones who were really looking out for, particularly the black men on that high school. And then when I turned into a professional, there were very few black professors on my college campus, but one of them ended up becoming one of my mentors who was in the communication department. So very instrumental. The bros kind of took me in. My god brother was a bruh, had crossed at that chapter. Like I was just felt welcome. It was just a different thing. They helped me understand the greatness of Omega. And then when I crossed and came back home, I found out that the dentist that I had been going to my whole life was a bruh. Like, it was just so it was that kind of environment. There have been always bruhs influencing me, but I might not have known the depth of their relationship to Omega. And then when I found out, it was just like, I was supposed to do this.
Right.
In high school, I started a club that there were 4 of us who were the founders of that club. So to join an organization that had 4 founders, there was just all these parallels in my life once I got into it. So it was real cool.
I feel the same way. I was introduced to the bros at a very early age. My mentor was actually one of my best friends growing up, still to this day. There's a closeness among these brothers. They're always coming to his house as far as the men that are at school. And then since we were down the street from the school, being able to go to the step show, and let's keep it real, seeing how the honeys reacted to the bros on stage.
Yes,
And then realizing that my brother, he pledged in 88. So now I was able to become even more familiar with the organization. So it wasn't even a decision for me when I came to school. My second semester in school, I was online, and it just kind of made me feel, I'm sure it did for you as well, made me feel like I'm part of something bigger than me. And I represent something beyond my first and last name. I represent an entire organization. And if I come out here and do something crazy, they're going to say, Terry the Q did that.
Exactly.
But in the same regard, we see somebody like one of the bros from Gamma Lambda, running Dominique's club in Atlanta at its height. Like, wait a minute, that's my frat brother from our neighboring chapter. He runs the club. Or then, wait a minute, the bros was hanging out with Joe Torre. You mean the guy that I just seen on TV? It just made me feel like so many different things were possible. These are people that are in my fraternity. They look like me, and all of the things that I didn't think were conceivable, I now feel like I can do them.
Yeah, had direct access to them. Yes, sir.
Yep. You have direct access, and then just to have that association,
yes.
and just have even more belief. If he can do it, I can do it. And I think just the whole process of becoming a bruh is definitely going to, if nothing else, you're going to come out of that process with a lot of confidence.
A lot of confidence and a lot more respect for the organization. The best thing the bros did for me was, like you said, you joined in your second semester of your freshman year. My second semester of my freshman year, the bros threw me out of the smoker. They asked me why I wanted to be in Omega, and I told them I wanted to wear them boots and hop around the party, which is all I knew.
Right.
And they was like, that's all you know? I was like, that's all y'all do. They was like,
man, get them out of here.
Yo, it's like, come back when you know some more. If they had not kicked me out and forced me to learn some more about the organization, then I wouldn't be in the organization right now. Like I had, from my perspective, I thought I had a lot of respect for them when I went to that first meet, but I didn't really get my true understanding and appreciation of Omega until they kicked me out and made me go learn some stuff. So I'm appreciative of that experience. It's helped me be as resilient as I am, to go from working in admissions to then switching over to working in student affairs, and then leaving Illinois, which is, my whole life was in Illinois, to move to Clemson, South Carolina, to continue working in student affairs, to eventually quitting that and starting my own business. Like that's all God and the bros. That's where I got that from. Yes, my family has taught me to be resilient. Yes, my family has given me a lot of faith, but the connections and the belief in myself that never stop, see it through attitude, that's the bros.
And you don't fear anything, man. You have this level of fearlessness, and you embody those principles.
Definitely.
Manhood, scholarship, perseverance, and uplift.
Yes, sir.
Everything that you do is rooted in that.
Yes.
And I'm sure that there may have been some people, man, you got a good job. You got that good job. What you mean you're going to work for yourself? We don't do that. Hush up all that now.
Man, there's lots of, I call them haters now, but
right
back then I just called them naysayers. People who didn't believe you or believe in you, and it's not that they didn't believe in you. They just didn't see your vision. And I am always a person of vision. Like I've always been that way. I see things, even in the work that I do, I am light years ahead of the average speaker or consultant in terms of looking at trends and seeing things that are coming down the pipe. And I've always been innovative like that. So much so that when somebody say radical, I just turn around. It's like, what's up? Yeah, I'm radical. My viewpoints are very different, but I'm ahead of the game. I'm always going to be at the forefront, not pulling up the rear. So this just who I am. This in me.
Talk our viewers and listeners through what SmithCAN is, what your organization does.
Yes, sir. So I'm Bryant K. Smith, the Human Potential Specialist. My job is to help make good people great and great people become memorable. And I do that with the vehicle that I call SmithCAN, Smith Consulting and Networking. We use high impact, high engaging keynotes, always engaging in interesting workshops or seminars. I write books, and we come and we specialize in customizing programs and services to meet our clients' needs. We help people be better people. At the end of the day, that's what we've always been about, and that's what we do.
And bro, how long have you had your company?
I've been in business full-time since 2005, but I started it part-time in 2000 when I wrote my first book, Black Not Blind, and started as a speaker working for a company called Campus Speak. And I was doing lectures on college campuses all across the nation, talking about a lot of my work originally. My original work was Black Greeks and how to be, a better leader and a better person in those organizations. That's where I started.
What was some of the challenges, if any, that you faced when you first started the company? And then more importantly, when you started doing it full time, what were some of the challenges that you had to navigate?
Yeah, so one of the first challenges I had to navigate was this concept of niches. When you're a speaker, people want you to be in your niche. And so for me, the company I was working for, they had me as a Black Greek speaker. Now, I thought of myself more as a motivator, innovator, and I could talk about almost any subject if you give me enough time to prepare. But when somebody would call, I just did a keynote or a workshop at a conference, and the students from that school who are in the fraternities and sororities, they saw me at a Greek conference, but now they want to bring me for Black History Month or for the Martin Luther King Day. So they called the Speakers Bureau and say, hey, we want Bryant for Martin Luther King speech. And they go, well, no, Bryant's our Black Greek guy. John, he's our MLK speaker. We want you to bring John. And I'm like, wait a minute. You made me lose money.
Right.
I can do it all. And so that was the first thing I had to overcome was my vision for who I wanted to be as a speaker didn't align with their vision. So I was fortunate enough to meet Dr. Naeem Akbar, who told me early on that what he believes all students should be working on, particularly Black students, get a job, work for that company for 7 years. And on 7 years, day number 1, you should be able to quit and compete with that company. So it didn't take me 7 years working for that Speakers Bureau. It took me 4. And then I quit and decided to compete with them and promote myself however I wanted to. So, and I've been rolling ever since, and it's been good.
What led to that meeting with Dr. Akbar as far as being able to have that mentorship and him to pour into you in such a manner and have such an impact on your professional trajectory?
Yeah. When I went to graduate school, I didn't have a traditional graduate assistantship. I was studying communication, but my assistantship was not in the communication department. It was in the Multicultural Center. And through that Multicultural Center, I joined an organization called the Association of Black Cultural Centers. And they held an annual conference. And I went to the conference where Dr. Akbar happened to be giving the keynote one day. And that next day after he gave his keynote, we were on the same airplane. So we sat in the airport for a while waiting for the flight. And then we sat on the airplane and we talked and we exchanged information. And when I finally graduated and started working on college campuses, bringing in speakers, every campus I worked on, I brought Dr. Akbar. And so we kept in touch. He told me a lot about, how to write books, what type of books you should write, why you should write books, why you shouldn't write books. And if you want to, he gave me a lot of insight into how I could do this business of consulting and speaking the way that I wanted to do it, which is really not the traditional way that speakers bureaus use it. So it was really great. I had, direct access to him. Still one of my mentors, somebody I respect highly. I read his books over and over again, particularly on male development. I've written 9 books and 5 of them are on male development and manhood. So I got that from my time hanging out with Dr. Akbar.
So let me ask you a question. What drove his reasoning in saying after 7 years, you should be able to quit and compete with that company that you work for? Because I know when a lot of people hear that, we were raised in a culture, you get that good job, you retire, you get a watch, whatever it may be. But what drove his reasoning in sharing that with you?
I think he saw the writing on the wall. Because the era where you could work for 40 years for a company and get that watch and get that 401k was coming to an end. And so I think in all of his travels, all of the university that he met, he meets all these young people with brilliant minds and ideas, and then they sell themselves short by saying, I'm only good enough to work for this company. And so what he's doing was planting a seed that said, you know what, you don't have to just work for a company, you could start your own. And if you're going to work for a company, don't go in there and just give all of yourself away without getting as much as you give. And so the way that you get as much as you give is you go in there with a plan. I need to understand, like for me, I was a recruiter, but I needed to understand how financial aid works. I need to understand how the faculty work. I need to understand how the student affairs side of things work. So when I got ready to quit, I based my consultancy on how can I help all these people in these various departments on college campuses? And that's what I focused on. I spoke at, I don't know how many colleges across the nation now, but that's because I understood the assignment. I spent my time, I paid my dues, and now I'm a thought leader in how to make students have a better educational experience at PWIs primarily.
Thinking about starting your own business? Make it real with Shopify, the all-in-one platform trusted by millions to sell online and in person, whether it's merch, art, or digital goods. Shopify gives you the tools to build, grow, and succeed. And here's the best part. When you sign up using the affiliate link in our show notes, you're supporting Prepare For Takeoff and starting your business off right. Click the link and start your free trial today. We have to develop a mindset of figuring out a way to feed ourselves. And even if you're working way beyond those 7 years, you should know at this point, the runway is approaching.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
at some
exactly.
point, your career is going to land. And you want to be able to have another plane on the other runway that you can get onto and take off. Because if not, you're going to be in your 60s hoping and praying that they don't cut Social Security. Because if they do, then what? Your
Then what?
lifestyle as you know it is going to be wrong side of up. However, if we can learn from people like yourself, myself, as well as people outside of our community as it relates to the importance of pouring into ourselves, the importance of taking, like you said, all of what it is you've learned and develop a certain matter of expertise, and you show up in an organization and say, I'm a subject matter expert in this.
Yes.
And although I can work for you, you can pay me this amount as a consultant, but then the same way some people thought, I'm sure earlier in our professional trajectories, but you're gonna go get a second job because you can
Right.
supplement your income. Well, you can
Right.
do the same thing working for yourself. Instead of having a second job, you can have 5 jobs because you can have 5 clients. You can have 10 clients. You can have
Exactly.
15. And guess what else isn't going to happen? You're not going to fire yourself.
No. I mean, my point of working for myself was really twofold. One, I wanted to help as many students as I could. And I could never help as many as I thought I could if I stayed at one institution. So as a consultant, I have helped thousands of students all across this country and actually around the world, because I've been consulting in Spain, I've been to Ghana. So I have traveled. And my second reason was I literally wanted to spend time with my family. My children have 4 kids, 3 of them are 3 sport athletes. I wanted to go to games. I wanted to see them perform. And if I had worked for somebody else when they were telling me when I had to be somewhere else, I never would have had the flexibility to go and watch my children do what they did. My daughter was a D1 basketball player. I missed maybe 10 games in her 4-year college career. That's home games and away games. Like, I went to all of those games. And those are memories that I cherish. Now, she may not have the same fondness of those memories as I do, but for me, that means something. And I could have never done that sitting in somebody's office, letting them tell me when and where I had to come and go. So, you don't have to work for yourself, but it sure is a lot of fun when you get to tell yourself when you on and when you off and where you can go and when you can't. That's the beauty of it. Like, I am not going to be that person saying I woulda, coulda, shoulda at the end of my life. I will have no regrets. I will have lived a full life. And every single day I find a way to help other people live full lives without regret.
And I say that all the time, B, like the importance of not growing old with regret. I'm the kind of person that I learn from other people. And the old people have told me many years ago, what you don't want to do is grow old with regrets.
Yes.
And that you don't get that opportunity to have that do-over.
No.
It is what it is. If you're in your 80s and you're like, man, I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have done that. If you're compromised with health concerns, now it's no longer just your age. Now, do you have the health to do what it is you may have wanted to do what it is that you may have continued to put off? While you are well-bodied and able, whatever God puts in your spirit, don't allow the enemy to manipulate your mind through fear and doubt to not pursue your passion.
Yeah.
That's what I'm about.
I tell myself the degree and the degrees that I have, those are nothing but credentials that tell people that I am trainable or that I have the ability to have expertise. If I go out on my own, start my business, and it fails, I can get another job. One of the things that I learned in Chicago is a very strong work ethic. Before my family starves, before I lose my house, I will mop floors, I will pick up trash, I will do whatever it takes to make sure that does not happen. I've had every job. One job I had in the summer, I worked at a garbage dump. My job was when the trucks drove in the dump and dumped the trash, my job was to open the trash bags up and pull out aluminum cans. So don't tell me that I got to work or I'm scared to work or I'm afraid to lose something. I'm not afraid because I know I can work again. I have skills. I have education. I'm good. I'll be all right. And I'm hustling.
Talk us through some of those credentials, because I'm sure our viewers and listeners are like, well, you can't just slide that in and not let us know what those credentials consist of. Let them know what that consists of.
Yeah, so my bachelor's is in broadcasting. My master's is in organizational communication, and I've spent 15 years working at 4 different college campuses and 1 community college. I've done everything on college campus, from teaching the classroom to recruit the students. The only areas where I didn't work on college campus, I never worked in financial aid and I never worked in Res Life. But for the past 25 years as the CEO and president of Smith Consulting, I train people who work in financial aid and residential life to help people who are on those campuses. So those are some of my credentials. I'm the author of 10 published books. I'm working on three books right now. Also working on a video project. I'm a programmer at heart. I love doing programs. I love finding ways to help my clients. This is just what I do. And for the past, like I said, the last 25 years, I am that guy that you need when you're trying to figure out how you can help somebody be a better person. Whether that's because they lack leadership, because they don't understand difference and how to get along with other folks, particularly in this climate we're in now. That is a crucial skill that we're going to really need. Or sometimes it's just about change. People don't know how to go through change. Nobody likes change. But what they don't understand is change is not good or bad. How you react to change is good or bad. I help people understand that, find their passions, be better people, live their dreams, fulfill their purpose and their passion. That's me. And I love what I do. Like, if I didn't love what I do, I'd quit. And I haven't quit yet.
Bro, you sound like a Swiss Army knife.
Man, I am. I am a true Renaissance man. I picked up when COVID hit. I switched my business to doing virtual workshops and training, but I also picked up a paintbrush and started painting. I was always writing books. I'm a DJ by trade, so I love music. I make videos all the time, and the technology's finally made it so simple that you don't need a studio to make a film. So I make what I feel like and do what I feel like doing, and I love what I do. I got a camera. I'm a great photographer. I'm making some one-of-a-kind photo memories for people now. That's another thing that I do. A part of my Smith Consulting, I have a t-shirt business called Consciousness Clothing. So there's a whole lot that's going on. Nubian Mind Production, that's what I do, all of the videos and the films and stuff that I'm working on. And then A Black Man's Press is my publishing empire. So I'm going to keep working. I'm going to keep doing what I do, brother.
You sound like the busiest brother in South Carolina, man.
I've stayed busy. I had a father who, if you ever came in the house and said you were bored, he always found something for you to do. And so I learned real quick never to be bored. And so I'm never bored. I'm always working on that next project. I usually have multiple things that I'm working on simultaneously and not at the same time. But I'll spend an hour, I divide my day into the various projects that I have to oversee and supervise. So I start off in the morning doing what most people do. I'm going to check my emails, but then it's writing. Then it might be social media. Then it might be working on a video. Might be designing the next t-shirt. All of those things take time, but I would rather be busy than be bored any day of the week.
Despite all of the things that you're doing, you still have the opportunity to be there for your family. You have the support of your wife. And a lot of people don't understand how important it is to have that foundation that you can build on. So talk us through the importance of family and how it's helped you build what it is you built.
Family is I say everything, but it would sound so cliche. But when everything is going well in your family, then you have the ability to take time to do everything well professionally. Those two things have to be in balance. When they're out of balance, something's going to go wrong. When everything is not going well in your family, then you can't expect everything to go well in your business. So you need to be able to understand, what does it take to be a good husband, a good father, a good provider, and how do you do that and be a good businessman, a good speaker, a good consultant, a good business partner, and a good friend. Because friendship is essential to the soul, and we have to have those kind of connections. So everything that I do has been based on this idea of, how can I have a balance? And it took me a while to learn. I didn't start out that way. I used to say I was a good father and a terrible husband. Then I switched to maybe I'm a better husband, I'm a terrible father. Like, you have to go through these growing pains. And that's why I love doing the change management work I do, because I understand what it means to go through change. The best book that I can tell anybody to read, particularly young men, is the autobiography of Malcolm X, because you see somebody who changes. You start out Malcolm Little, then Detroit Red, then Malcolm X, then El Hajj Malik. He goes through these transitions. And so I'm going through transitions. I'm a person who has grown immensely in the work that I do and in how I deal with my family. And there are things that you asked me earlier about one of the struggles. Here's the thing I want people to think about, because somebody will see our stories and say, oh, I want to do that. That's easy to do. I want to do that. Well, let me tell you the one thing that you have to think about. While I've traveled the country and the world saving other people's children, who was saving mine? There's a cost.
Mm.
There's some things that I did miss out on. As much as I was there, I was also away. And so you have to be able to figure that out. Like, there's a sacrifice that is made. I wasn't the only one making sacrifices. My family were making sacrifices by allowing me the freedom and flexibility to travel and do what it is I had to do to help other people. So I believe me, I love my life. I've helped a lot of people, but I also understand that there are some other people who paid into this Bryant Smith Consulting and Networking, who necessarily weren't exactly trying to be involved in Smith Consulting and necessary, but that's what they did. So it's a beautiful, it's a blessing, and I wouldn't change it. If I could go back and had a time machine, I wouldn't change what I'm doing. There's probably a few lessons that I would have tried to learn earlier, but I still do it the same. I still would do everything that I'm doing.
You have to have a strong partner at home that's
Yes.
going to offset the things you may not be in a position to do. And the one
Yes.
thing you can't get back is time. So I'm sure there was a lot of sacrifices that your wife made, and she put you in a position where you could take those opportunities to go overseas. You could take
Yeah.
those opportunities to go in other places throughout the country. And
Yes.
for her support, you were the man that we see today. And,
Yes.
and she gets all of the praise. So I wanted to be able to publicly acknowledge and praise your wife for allowing you to be the
and I
man
thank
that
you,
you've
because
become.
she has been a rock at my side. She's been one of those people who did literally allowed me the freedom and flexibility to go out and pursue my dreams, and not put even her dreams on hold, so to speak, but she held our family down. I mean, literally, I commuted from South Carolina to Illinois for 4 years, technically. I worked at a school in Illinois. My family was in South Carolina, and I came back and forth, a whole lot of traveling, but she held the family down during that particular time. And so now it's helped us. You know, we do all of these things that we do for one another. She supported me. Now it's my turn to support her. She's working on her PhD right now. I'm supporting her through that, but she's working still. I mean, so it's a beautiful thing when you see people who love each other enough to support each other's dreams and to share in that dream. And that's the thing that I really love and appreciate about her, because she's always been that person who said, it might not be exactly what I want or what I thought I'd be doing, but if it makes you happy and it's going to help our family, I'm with it. And so I love the fact that she did that for me. And of course, she's from Chicago too, so that helps.
One of the things I encourage people to do, whether you're in business or whether you're trying to pursue something personally, the importance of partnerships.
Yes.
Sounds like to me, it goes without saying, you have a phenomenal partner.
Yeah.
Partnerships can take you to a whole nother level.
Definitely.
No different than professionally. If you have the right partner, if you team up with a Fortune 25 company as a consultant, that's going to take your business to a whole nother level.
Another level, yes.
If you find the right partner, it's going to take your life as you know it to a whole nother level. In order to get to that destination, you need to have a partner. Same thing professionally, the same thing holds true personally. And I think a lot of us don't understand that, because in our community, sad but unfortunately true, we're chasing individual success.
Yes.
We're not chasing things that we can accomplish as a community, as a group. We're chasing, how can I get to the bag?
Right. And that's another thing I learned from Dr. Akbar, is this idea that African people have always, we come from a communal background where the wealth and health of the community is what's more important than the wealth and health of one individual. And so my philosophy in terms of how I move in my business and in my personal life is it's always some we. No one I know has gotten anywhere on their own. My mother and father poured into me to make sure I could get to college. There were some professors who poured into me to make sure I could get out of college. There's some other mentors who poured into me to make sure that I was going to be a great professional. There's some mentors who poured into me to make sure I'm a great entrepreneur and a speaker. There are partnerships that I have built along the way. The fact that we're even sitting here together, Dr. Eddie Moore Jr., if it wasn't for the partnerships that I have formed and the relationship I built with that brother years ago, we wouldn't be sitting here. We're going to make some partnerships. Somebody that's watching this screen, that's right, y'all are going to partner with Bryant K. Smith, the Human Potential Specialist. So this is coming. Like, this is something that is going to happen, and it's all about trying to help us be better, not me be better.
Right. It's about us as a community. And
Yes.
one of the things you touched on is change management. I want you to share with our viewers and listeners the importance of change management in organizations and why they need to embrace that. Because if you wait for the change, that change, as you know, it will pass you right by. And you have to anticipate the change. So talk us through the importance of that.
You can be the change or you can be run over by change. And that's the problem that most people have is they never think that change is coming. Change is always going to come. And if you're not changing, you're dead. And then it won't matter. So you need to be prepared for change. Sometimes you need to initiate the change, and you need to control how you respond to changes that were initiated by other people that impact you. And so you need to understand that, again, change in and of itself is not good. It's not bad. How you respond to that change, what you do when change comes to you is good or bad. You can make any situation better or you can make it worse. But the choice is yours. And it's all about change is a verb. You have to do something. You got to get up off your butt and do something to get through these change. And the people who are managing changes, who are introducing change, they need to understand that change is also traumatic. It's not good or bad, but in every instance, it's traumatic because you're taking a norm, something that somebody has gotten used to, and you're shifting it. Sometimes you're taking it away from them. Sometimes you're introducing something new. But that is a trauma to the average person. And so you have to be careful in how you manage that, how you introduce it, and how you allow people to work through it. So if you're having problems and you're struggling, Bryant K. Smith, the Human Potential Specialist, is your solution. Give me a call. You can reach me at SmithCAN.com or BryantKSmith.com. I'm here for you. I want to help you be better people. If you're already good, I'm going to help you be great. If you're already great, I'm going to help you become memorable.
Not only are you doing all of what it is you're doing as a consultant, but you also have these books. Talk us through how our viewers and listeners can pick up these books. I think you said how many do you have now? 15?
I'm on 10.
You're on 10. Okay, all right.
I've got 3 in the pipeline, so by this time next year there will be 15 probably.
Okay, all right.
So they can get the books. Most of my books are on Amazon. There are a few books like Manhood: The Missing Manual. You can't get Manhood: The Missing Manual without getting Bryant K. Smith. That one is so deep that I have to come with whatever group you're giving that book to. Now, for sons and brothers, my sons and brothers, that is a book on manhood and male development. You can get that. The application for manhood, you can get that. And if you want a morality tale that really deals with the times that we're in, you need 5. 5 asks you, if you met 5 Black people in your life, and God asked them, should they let you in heaven, and it was going to be up to these 5 people, what would happen to you? And so it's a morality tale that, and it's not 5 of your best friends. It's just 5 Black folks that you met. So it tells the story of this young man who met 5 Black folks in his life. And when he dies, that comes back up and what happens to him. So all these books you can usually find on Amazon. If not, you can look on BryantKSmith.com or SmithCAN.com and they'll be listed. I'm actually updating some of the websites. So as of yesterday, all of the books weren't on the website, but they will be on there soon. Or just reach out to me, send me an email. You never know. I might just send you one for reaching out. And if you tell me that you were on the Takeoff, you saw me on the Takeoff show, you might get a surprise because I believe in paying it forward.
This episode of Prepare for Takeoff is brought to you in part by Riverside, the platform that I trust to record studio quality podcasts right from my laptop. With Riverside, I get crystal clear audio and 4K video. Plus, it's super easy to use. Whether you're a beginner or a pro, Riverside helps your podcast sound amazing. Try it out for yourself. Click the affiliate link in our show notes and start recording like a pro with Riverside. One of the things that I've heard more than once is if you don't want to do it for yourself, then do it for your family, because your success or failure is not going to just impact you. It's going to impact your family, good or bad. So if you're phenomenal on your trajectory, if you're focused and determined and you want to succeed to the highest level, even if you get to a certain point on the mountain, if your children can continue that ascent from where you left off, it was all worth it. You want to know why? Because they didn't have to start at the bottom of the mountain.
Exactly.
It was all worth it. It's not about us. It's about the people around us. It's about our peers. It's about allowing them to see. So we understand the importance of being each other's keeper. You know what I'm saying? And not only do we have to support people in our community, but we have to hold people accountable. We have to be individuals who are going to help people ascend, be that iron that sharpens iron, and let it be an expectation that we support one another. Other communities, they expect to break bread. Black people, sad but unfortunately true, we hope to break bread.
Exactly.
We hope to be able to do certain things. Other communities, they expect it. And I hate to say it, we expect certain things, especially in inner city communities. It's sad but unfortunately true. There's people who they expect to go to jail. They expect not to graduate. They expect to hit the block. We have to change those expectations and change those expectations and saying, I can become Bryant K. Smith. He's from the Wild Hundreds, and I know people from the Wild Hundreds. Shout out to my boy Malik Youssef, multi-Grammy Award winner. That's my boy. And so I know all about the Wild Hundreds. And so I want y'all to know, Bryant K. Smith, he didn't break it down to y'all, but he from the neighborhood.
You know, and I've been there before it was the Wild One. It was actually a nice little neighborhood, and then it turned into the Wild 100. So I've been through everything, like I said. I've grown up, experienced a lot, and I've benefited a lot from people who poured into me. And I appreciate you having me on here.
Before we wrap up, share with our viewers and listeners what you feel will help them prepare for takeoff.
So here we go. 3 things. 1, you got to decide who you are and be that person. Not listen to other people deciding who you are, but you have to decide who you are, what you want, how you want to move in the world, how you want to be remembered, and that's what you have to be. Because there is no one else here that is able to be you. Once you realize that, the world is yours. But you have to decide. It is an action thing. Again, it's a change. Don't let somebody else tell you. Don't wait for somebody else to help. You decide who you are. And all it takes is 5 minutes a day. Sit down, turn off everything, don't talk to nobody, find a quiet spot, and ask the universe, who am I? What is my purpose? And give yourself 5 minutes. And if you can't give yourself 5 minutes, but you'll give that boss 8 hours of your day, then what you're telling me is you don't value yourself. So I want you to give yourself. So that's step number 1. 2, I want you to always find some way to help someone else. If you can find a way to help someone else, you will always be employed because people will always pay for help, particularly if they can't help themselves. That's a simple one. And then the third one is a little more complicated. The third one is when I want you to really, really sit back and ask yourself, have I done my very best? Every single day when you get up, before you go to bed, you ought to ask yourself, was I my very best today? Because this world is full of mediocre people. And no one wants to engage you when you being mediocre. And you owe yourself to always be your very best. Because when you're not your very best, that's when you will have those regrets. Because you'll be sitting back saying, I shoulda, coulda, woulda been better. And you weren't. So be your very best every single day, every chance you get. I'm Bryant K. Smith, the Human Potential Specialist. Those are my little 3 points that's going to help you take off.
Now, I want to give you the opportunity to share with our viewers and listeners how they can find you on social media, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, website, whatever you feel comfortable with sharing, B.
Yeah, I'm on Facebook, Bryant K. Smith. I'm on LinkedIn, Bryant K. Smith, and I'm on Instagram. I think I'm SmithCAN on Instagram. But you can find me if you type in Bryant K. Smith. There might be some imitators, but there's only one originator, and that's me. You'll know because my voice is unique and the little shiny bald-headed black guy from the south side of Chicago. You can find me if you want. But if you can't find me in those places, you can always find me at smithcan.com. And then I will connect with you. If you reach out to me, I always respond. There is no AI. There is no secretary and assistant keeping up with talking back to the people who reach out to me. Tell me you saw me on the takeoff. Let's connect and let's start a relationship.
Thanks for spending so much time, man, and dropping all these jewels on myself as well as our viewers and listeners. Much continued success. I know we're going to figure out a way to break bread. One of the things I like to say, man, is I want to lead by example. It's one thing for me to tell somebody what we should do. No, we need to show them what it is we're doing. And the other thing that I share with people all the time, no matter where you're from mentally, in our community, we all from Missouri. We're from the show me state.
From the show me
state. Don't tell me. Show me. That's how children learn. That's how adults learn. People need to see something. So we're going to figure out a way how we can continue to expand this working relationship. It's always great to work with the bros, and you're doing phenomenal things in Clemson and beyond. So I look forward to figuring out what that looks like, man. So again, much continued success.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Yeah, this is a beautiful platform. I appreciate you sharing it with us. And if we can ever reciprocate, let me know. And I look forward to us building. So thank you, Takeoff family. I appreciate y'all letting me be in your room and on your screen. And again, it's Bryant K. Smith.
I wanted to thank our viewers and listeners, whether you're watching on YouTube or you're watching on Spotify or you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Audible, iHeart, or Pandora. As you know, every week we're going to continue to bring you proven professionals or rising entrepreneurs. And all of these conversations, just like this one, will help you prepare for takeoff. Brian, thanks for joining us, man.
All right, taking off. I'm buckled in. Let's go.